So good morning for everybody. It's the third day of the Delta virtual workshop for the new version SAP Business One 10.0. Today we would like to discuss with Christian the business partners, cross-module topics, functionality, platform and extensibility, V1I 2.0 and HANA 2 functions. By the way, I would like to mention that at the moment, in the same time, not same time, parallelly, we have a virtual workshop for HANA 2 installation and some other HANA 2 topics. And last but not least, the lifecycle management. So, and I will send these slides to you, or upload later. And you can find in these slides the previous recordings and where you can find the topics in the recordings. Maybe it's helpful. Ask everybody to mute, but I will do it now. Okay, let's start with a business partner type of new functionalities. Not a lot, not a huge, but my part today will be a bit for sure longer because the V1I 2.0 maybe and the HANA 2 is a bigger part. I would like to show to you, here, and I will increase the size a bit. Okay, so related to business partner, the new functionality in the 10.0 version, the address format. In the administration setup business partner, we have an address format option, and you can set up a lot of address format. And we have a new option. This is a hide empty address line. And in that case, if you have address line, maybe here, and the streets is missing from the address, in that case, the system will skip the empty line or hide the empty line on the document and in the printout. So this is a checkbox that is new. And you know, in European Union, we use the European Union address line, address format type, and so there's a lot, and everybody can create own address format. And for sure, I hope everybody familiar with it, that in the countries we can add the address format for the countries, and based on that, the system will apply this address format in a document logistic tab, and in the document print layout. So this address format hide empty line address option, this is one of the new functionality. The next one, the customer and vendor group here, and if I switch on the system information, actually this group name is bigger, as you can see. There was shorter, now it's 100 characters. So the group name, it's bigger. So in the 10th version, you have more options to define the customer and vendor group's name. There's a new functionality in address as well in business partner case. So if we see the business partners, and one of the business partners is not important, that who is this one, for instance, or this one, and this is the address, and there is the address ID here, and there's a possibility to block, to modify the address ID. If you go to the administration system initialization general settings, you can find in the BP, that allow updating address ID. So if I uncheck this one, after that, the address ID will be blocked. You cannot modify if you add once. Okay, so via SDK and via UI, there's this possibility. Okay, the next one that you can add to the addresses user-defined fields, and these user-defined fields will show in this grid. So if you go down, you can see that there are some possibility to add user-defined field to here. As you can see, these are user-defined field. And after that, you can see here some user-defined fields on the address or in the address, in context with the address. So this is the last change in business partner area. Mainly, we have changes for addresses in case of version 10.0. Let's. I would like to mention some other changes that we have in the sales documents. For instance, in the sales documents attachments tab, and we added more attachment tab, more type of document. If you review what's the new documentation, I would like to show to you. We spoke about the cross topics. Cross topics. So we have attachment mode, attachment tab additionally to these documents. Inventory counting, production order, deposit, and so on, incoming, outgoing payment, inventory posting. So if somebody check it, can see that this attachment folder we have in case of bank and incoming, it related to deposit. We have additional attachment folder or tab, and in case of incoming or outgoing payments, we have as well attachment. So maybe it can help to add more functionality. And during the reference document, we have new options that related the inventory document, goods issue, goods receipt, inventory transfer request and inventory transfer, purchase request, checks for payment and recurring posting. We have this type of reference documents. You can find this option here, maybe any of document, and in the accounting tab you can find the reference document possibility here. And let's maybe another one, yeah, maybe here, and we have more option to choose different type of additional type of documents. The system can do automatically this referencing, and if you think, and you can see this referencing in the relationship map and as a solid line. And if you use manual referencing, additional referencing, in that case, you can see in the relationship map as dotted lines. So actually, you can reference more wider in the 10th version with this referencing option. The next one, maybe the UDF. So we have additional UDF possible objects in the Business One. So as you can see, this is the list, and from the 10th version, you can have more possibility to add UDFs, user-defined fields, to these objects, as you can see. And after that, in the tools customization, you can add user-defined fields to these objects as well. There's another change, which is maybe not really big change, the personal data protection. In the HR, in the HR, I will show to you here. If you open the employee master data, any of, this one. You can see here the employee code. Earlier here there was an employee number, and the employee number from the 10th version is a kind of internal identifier. So the employee code will be the new kind of visible identifier of the employees. And thanks to this, you can modify the employee code, and you can apply this employee code any of relevant topics, like, for instance, timesheets, purchase request, and so on. And as you can see, this employee code, if you think we have an existing employee, and you can change this employee code up to you to the internal coding. And in the background, this employee number remained 2, for instance, or any. So in that case, this is a more flexibility to manage the HR customization. Okay, and last but not least, we have a mobile application. We have 3 mobile applications for the Business One. One is B1I based, which is valid for both for SQL and HANA. And we have 2 additional service layer connection based mobile application, the B1 Sales and B1 Service. And from the second patch, we will have a possibility to access these mobile applications on HANA. The plan, because the service layer released for SQL as well, we have a plan to add this mobile application to the SQL, offer these mobile applications to the SQL customers. So the B1 Sales and B1 Service will be introduced sooner or later to the SQL-based customers. But we know at the moment that we cannot release this possibility to the next release, which will be in August this year. And this will be the 3rd patch, or a new name of this patching, as I mentioned before, that this will be the feature pack 2008. So this is 2020 August release, and this will be the feature pack. So maybe later, not that feature pack 2008, but later we will have possibility to use the B1 Sales and B1 Service for SQL customers. Okay, so this was a business partner and cross topics news for the 10th version. And after that, we can discuss with the platform and extensibility. Christian, if you think you can share your screen for this.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
If yes, then let's...
Not yet, but
not.
in process. Yes,
okay.
I can.
Okay, thank you. Then let's pick the first item. This is the service layer, and as you have mentioned earlier, the service layer is also offered for Microsoft SQL Server. In this case, you can build a much better solution which will fulfill the HANA and the SQL requirements as well. If you are using the service layer to reach the SAP Business One, then you can do it directly for SQL version as well. And it was a lot of requests from you, from partners, from the customers to have a better controllability for the service layer. And this had been introduced with the service layer configuration controller. It's a dedicated user interface where you are able to log in, start and stop and start the services, eventually add there more nodes and customize the power of the service layer service. And also this is coming with the feature of downloading the existing log files, and this is very helpful if you are analyzing some issues and you don't have to go to the Sorry guys, would it be possible to mute yourself? Okay, let me try to mute all. Okay. In this case, you have a user interface where you can manage the whole service layer, and on top of that, you can also download the logs, and this will help you analyze the issue much more quicker, and because you don't have to go for the Linux environment and copy and download the log files from there. The support expiration date. Again, this is somehow a new visualization inside of the Business One. As you can see now, what is the expiration date for the license key, and this is somehow exposed as a support expiration date, but basically this is an expiration date of the license key. And this is very crucial for the customers if they are using some temporary license file for any reason. They will be notified immediately after they will log into the Business One itself, and they will know as the system can stop for after a certain period of time as of the license key. The next enhancement, what has been made in version 10, is the API gateway. Basically, this is a new service running on top of the server tools, and this can actually expose the Crystal reports, and this specific API allows additional application and third-party tools to connect to the SAP Business One Crystal reports and consume the content directly from there. It's a very nice service, and this had been introduced in patch level 2 as of version 10. The next feature, what we have here is the user-defined value multiple trigger. This indicates as for initiating the user-defined values, you can really put there multiple triggers, and it can be based on different kind of fields, and this will help you to create much powerful user-defined values for the future, and because it will not dependent on one specific field on the form, but you can put there up to 5 fields, and this can be made directly in the configuration in the customization user-defined values. The next change is the form ID. The form ID was enhanced to 100 characters. This is usually relevant for the developers. And also a menu item limit. This is also based on SDK. Now the theoretical limit to handle the menu items is 2000, and especially this is very useful for those partners and countries who need to rebuild the menu entries in one row, and usually this is made directly in an add-on solution, and the current limit was 1000, and it was not enough to change the languages or change the menus for all the menus what we have inside of the SAP Business One. Two additional services, two additional objects had been exposed inside of the DI API and service layer, and this is the required posting service and a posting template service. In this case, if you want to have some kind of automated, regularly occurring posting, then you can do that right now in the data related access of the Business One, because this kind of object had been exposed there. And yeah, we have a new version of the Crystal reports, which is aligned with version 10. And we have using the 2016 SP5 for years, and now the SP7 is designed to run the SAP Business One version 10 patch level 2. Yeah, we have a new version. This is something what you will need to keep in mind if you want to change the reports, then you will need to update also the Crystal reports. That's it. That's everything about the platform and extensibility. Okay, let me check the question from Zoltan. UDIF multiple trigger in version 10. Can you use more fields, but you cannot choose a head and a row fields together? Do you plan to mix this type of fields? Zoltan, I don't know what is planned for this kind of feature. Anyhow, if this is somehow missing, like you did it previously, please post this on the influence portal, and our solution management will have a look to that, and they will plan accordingly. Does service layer support now TSL 1.2? Good question. I'm not pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure whether this had been changed. In the service layer, the main enhancement was made on the content and the stabilization, but in terms of the security, I really cannot answer this question. Okay, let's move forward to the lifecycle management. What you will need to know here, as we are having a new operating system version for SUSE Linux Enterprise, and now the latest version of the SAP Business One is running on Service Pack 0 and Service Pack 1. Indeed, it means any kind of generally released SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 can be used, and because both of them are supported right now. As maybe for you, it would be more important when the Business One image, where the SUSE image for SAP Business One will come. As far as I know, this is heavily dependent on the SUSE guys, because they are building the image for us. And as far as I know, it should come in July. But beside of that, you can still go for SUSE. You can download the enterprise server. You can apply for the regular deployment, or you can go for the SAP application. And this is an essential version for running the high availability in automated failover mode. But if you are using the manual one, the manual failover, then it's enough just to run the SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 15 without a specific image for SAP application. The next stuff, what had been changed, is the SAP HANA. Now we have finished the supportability for version 1, and we have decided to use the latest available SAP HANA version, which is version 2. Now, this is a very significant change, because you will need to keep in mind. Beside of the Linux operating system, you will need to also update the HANA and finally the SAP Business One. Supporting the 64-bit operating system. This is a big change because the 32-bit components had been removed, and such kind of very frequently used components like the SAP Business One client is not available there for a 32-bit. And this is a very crucial part for your customers. If they are using the 32-bit add-on solutions, then you will need to go forward and rebuild your solution in 64-bit. And because you will get the SAP Business One client only on 64-bit in version 10. The 32-bit client is not there anymore, and we are not supporting it anymore. But beside of that, some of the components or services are still on 32-bit, but this would be a very short-term run to rebuild them in 64-bit. Also the DI API is still needed on 32-bit, especially if you are working with the crystal reports, because the crystal reports is using that in 32-bit mode. For that reason, you will be able to find the DI API 32-bit under the name DI API legacy package, and this is directly under the installation CD and packages 64 x64. Then if you are still looking for the 32-bit DI API, we are shipping it because of the crystal reports delivery. Okay, I think that's it. That's everything what we have for lifecycle management. In between, I'm checking the questions, if those are arriving or not. If not, then I would like to have a really small overview about SAP HANA 2.0. What does it mean and what is the biggest change there? And as you can see, we have SAP HANA version 1 right now for 9.3. We have there the hardware. On top of that, we have the operating system, and then comes the SAP HANA instance. The SAP HANA instance have one database inside, only one database. That's it. But the databases are having also some additional subset, which is called the database schema. And basically, the Business One company database is represented in SAP HANA as a database schema, not a database. And if we are comparing it with SAP HANA 2.0, then a new additional layer had been introduced, and this is called the tenant database. The tenant database is between the entities of instance as schema, and basically we can tell as a tenant database is a container for database schemas. How the structure looks like? We are still having the same instance, but on inside of the SAP HANA instance, we are having some additional tenant databases, which are containers for our database schemas. It means those are containers for our Business One company databases. And now this simplifies a little bit the backup taking process, the restoring process, because we don't have to work and we don't have to execute this kind of operation on top of the SAP HANA instance, because we can do it on top of the SAP tenant database level. And why I'm telling that? Because it is quite challenging to restore the database instance in version 1, because you will need to stop the instance. You will the backup, the restoring process will automatically stop, restore the whole database, and move it back. But this is much more simplified in version 2, because there the instance is still running and you are just uploading there the container or replacing the container. It will depend up to you. And you are able to manually stop and start each tenant databases directly from the command line or from the SQL, from the HANA Studio as well. This is the main difference. This is the biggest change, and this will bring the hosting partner, the Business One hosting partners, to different level, because the tenant databases bring some additional isolation to the whole SAP HANA environment, and you will be able to have a different user management on top of the tenant database level. On 28th of May, we would have a very short virtual session about SAP HANA 2. And if you are interested about this topic, then please go and subscribe and register for free. And we will meet at 28th of May, and you will be learning more about the SAP HANA 2. Thank you. Then let's back to the questions, and let's see if we have any additional question to that topic. No. In this case, let me continue with the integration framework and an overview of what happened in year 2019, and then what is the outlook for this year. And we will have a short talk about each services which had been highlighted in the integration environment. Quick facts about 2019. Huge number of customer base for intercompany, for large account, and also for SME, for Business One. Yeah, more and more customers are running the mobile solution, and generally, roughly, we can say we are having almost 4,000 customers who are using the mobile solution on top of the B1i. This is the old mobile solution. This slide shows you what kind of possibilities are coming with the B1i. Let's start on the top left side. As you can see, from the operating side of view, quite range is supported. We have Linux, Windows, and a special version of the Linux is called Raspbian, but we will have a short talk about this later. From the DB side of view, a huge number, huge list. I think this is fulfilling all kind of integration requirements for us who want to deploy the Business One for SQL and for HANA. There is, yeah, those two main databases are supported, but it might have connection to any additional database system by using the JDBC adapter. How it might be deployed. Single deployment, one scenario for one customer. This is the old kind of deployment. This is working since the beginning, but now it is possible to have a multi-tenant deployment. It means one scenario will work for multiple customers as well. Because in version 1, in version 2, the deployment had been a little bit changed, and you can create a different deployment model based on your need. And this is a module, the deployment module, which had been totally redesigned in B1IF version 2. In terms of the service offerings, how it might run, then it can run in a cloud because partner cloud is using it, SAP hosted cloud is using it. Then there are no issues with it. It can run on the on-premise, of course. It can run on Docker Swarm. Currently, this year there are big efforts to move the deployment also to Kubernetes. This is not really done yet. The multi-tenancy concept using the integration as a service and platform as a service, and this is actually allowing the B1I to be deployed directly in the hyperscalers like the Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or any additional hyperscaler what you might imagine, because we have integration as a service concept, and this can really communicate with different hyperscalers and have a single point of integration orchestrator for outsourced services. And last but not least is the place where you can deploy it, and we can run also on the low board computers like Raspberry Pi. Then these are the changes. These are the new innovation what we have in SAP Business One integration framework. And let's have a look what had been made in 2019. Then the new mapping tool had been created, exchange rate scenario, Raspberry Pi image was deployed, integration hub had been introduced, and the Docker Swarm deployment is already here. This is something what we did in 2019, and this is what we are planning to have ready in this year. It means in the Business Application Factory, this tool we are planning to have it as a main integration tool inside of this tool, but a new stuff which is very crucial is the event handler mechanism. And now the new event handler mechanism should based on the HTTP calls and should get rid of that specific event sender service what we have for and running on the Microsoft Windows environment only. Business process modeling and notation. New, we would like to fine-tune, finalize, and put new content to the BPM as well. Integration hub. Again, this is a new framework on top of the B1I, where you will be able to easily integrate some additional services, CRM, web shops, and even more services. But later on, we will see in the slide what kind of services are exposed or planned to be exposed there. Then let's start with the integration hub. Basically, as I said, it has a new framework. On top of the integration framework, we built-in framework is designed for integration hub. This is having a much better user interface, more simplified user interface, and this is really based on the wizards to deliver and deploy the content very easily, even for the end customers, I would say. what kind of templates, what kind of content is there, or what is planned for the future. Shopify, for example, for handling the e-commerce platform. Also Magento is there. For the shipping and logistic providers, we have several kind of integrations, even for DHL, for FedEx, and so on. We can use the MailChimp or the SendGrid for marketing and emailing purposes. We can use the Nexmo for SMS service, and we have there also the request for quotation for SAP Business One. This is included there, and now it's much more easier to deploy and make it run for your customers. And yeah, the intercompany integration solution. The intercompany integration solution is the installation package where you will find the integration hub. Nowadays, you will need to have the intercompany license in order to run the integration hub, but we have very heavy discussion about the separated license model for this integration hub, and even those customers would be able to use the integration hub who are not having license for intercompany solution. But I'm not pretty sure when this price will be released and when this policy would be changed, but this is a very rapid discussion right now, and we would like to extend it also for non-intercompany customers as well. Basically, how to make it run. You will need to have the intercompany solution downloaded. You will need to run the intercompany solution as usual, and after that, it will generate the link directly to the integration hub. You will be able to log in and select some of the integration scenarios. Select on the left-hand side what kind of system you want to integrate to which kind of service. You are specifying the service. You are entering the basic user credentials for that specific end service, because Spotify or the MailChimp are requiring to have some kind of user verification for the end service, and basically you will be able to finalize the integration flow in a wizard mode in a very easy way and a very easy manner. On the other hand, some of the settings might be also set inside of the Business One client, because the intercompany add-on would have an additional feature where you will be able to set the details for that specific integration scenario. What kind of business configuration is there? Everything can be managed directly, dedicated form inside of the Business One client. On the other hand, if you will have the license either for integration hub or for intercompany solution, it doesn't mean necessarily you will be able to run the Magento webshop integration, because at the end you will need to have also an additional license for consuming that specific service from the third party service provider like the Shopify or MailChimp, if you want to use some advanced feature. But some of the services are free, some of them are not free. Just don't expect, as we are covering also the additional service fee which is needed for consuming that specific service, because it's a more complex topic. Well, that's it about the integration hub, and I want to have a short talk about the exchange rate scenario. This is thing which is supporting 9.3 patch level 11 10.0. It is running on top of the B1i version 1, and you are able to connect to the European Central Bank. You can download the daily exchange rates, and this is something what this special scenario does. This is for, of course, this is for free. It doesn't require any additional license because this is coming directly with the Business One. The development guidance or the setup guidance is mentioned already in this SAP note. And also you will be able to find the scenario package here, the up-to-date scenarios here. Then if you are interested for this specific service to make it run for you and for your customers, go for that as a SAP note and you will be able to find everything there. On the other hand, it is not just for those countries where the euro is the base currency, because you can use this specific service to your local central bank, and you will be able to get your specific services directly from there. Then you can use this as a template where you will replace the end backend server, and you would be able to use it even for synchronizing non-euro based currencies as well. Internet of Things. B1i can run even on top of the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi, it's a very slow board-based computer, small board-based computer, where you are also able to speak with the electronical inputs and electronical devices via the GPIO ports. And this is very, very interesting because now you can touch the things, you can put it to the integration, and as soon as you will have it in the integration, you will have it in the Business One, and you can integrate the stuff, the electronical devices, the stupid devices with ARP system, and you can enhance them with a more robust business logic, and you can bring a brain to a stupid small electronical device and use it for a very nice integration. We have SAP Note, everything is there. You will be able to find how to download, where to download, how to install, and how to work with it. This is an intelligent process designed and supported directly by the Raspberry Pi. Basically, you can have some additional. This is a BPM, the business process management. You are assigning there some additional integration scenarios where the scenario can directly speak with a small sensor like the barometer. It can read the temperature, it can verify whether it is enough temperature, and based on that you are starting your business processes or not. And together with this topic, we are having the business process management. And this is a very, very robust tool where you can really coordinate. The right sentence is coordinate the behavior of people, system, information, and things. That means if this is not just a simple integration stuff, because the integration stuff depends on the automation, and business process management again depends on the decision-making process. It means you will need to decide what to do in certain cases, based on the input type, which can be made by think by person or by any automated integration scenario, you can decide to which direction navigate the whole process and when where it should end. This is a the object management group has a special clarification for the business process modeling, and this kind of well-known standard had been moved to the B1I as well in a graphical way in order to have some similar decision-making process for Business One. And if you are familiar with the workflow in Business One, what we had before, then this is a more robust version of the workflow. We can simply said, because here we are able to do even more. We are able to move back and talk with the things using the Raspberry Pi. We can do some automated integration and data collections to retrieve the information using the scenario steps inside of the integration framework, and beside of that, orchestrate all this stuff together with BPM. Then if you are creating a very complex business logic, then you would have a business process scenario which will based on the flow which will execute the scenario steps, involve people by requesting some additional information, and involve things to retrieve the temperatures, the RPM, the darkness, any kind of sensor what you might imagine we can include to make a proper business flow here. Integration platform as a service. 1 month ago, we had a virtual workshop with the B1I developers, and they showed us how we can actually deploy the integration as a iPaaS service. It means multi-integration platform as a service. Basically, we can run now the B1I in the Dockers. We might have multiple B1I deployment, and the central B1I instance would orchestrate the work of the multiple B1I instances. Yeah, the challenging part here is always when we want to have the Windows components, and unfortunately for the event sender it is still needed, and that's why we want to really fine-tune the content for getting rid of the event sender and getting rid of the Microsoft Windows operating system at all, because this is the Windows is taking quite a lot of resources in the Dockers, and it is much more simple to work with Linux images like Ubuntu and so on. Yeah, we have the deployment. You can, and the interesting stuff is, if you want to have a new B1I installation with Docker, you can have it in less than a minute. From 0 to run, less than a minute. And this is also again showing for the cloud providers as how easily the solution can be deployed. Thank you very much. Let's move back to the Q&A section.
We have some questions, Christian.
Okay, then let's start with TSL. This is something what I haven't answered, but I don't know the answer yet. What about the HANA content on use upgrade? HANA view. Yeah, no change there. In this case, if you will just upgrade the content, if you will just import the new stuff there, then the HANA models would remain the same. And yeah, I would say the HANA content again. If we want to dig deeper, then maybe if you have created an application on top of the SAP XS Engine Classic, then this can work, but the HANA 2 is coming with the XS Advance, and there the Classic is working as a container inside of the Advance. But in that case, we are really recommending to rebuild the application to approach to using the XS Advanced feature instead of the XS Classic. But for the modeling part, there is no significant change. From Mate, it will be possible to install one Windows client machine, let's say developer Win64 machine, HANA client, and SDK SQL. Okay, then you mean you would like to have you would like to run the HANA and the Windows from one computer. Good point. I don't know. I don't know, because you will need to check it, and probably yes, because what you will need to have for SQL, you will need to have the SQL engine in the background, for HANA the HANA client, and if you will install both of them and you will just deploy one client and the client, and then in the selection you will decide which kind of connection. Yeah, theoretically yes. In the worst case scenario, you might have two kind of clients, and yeah, one not installed and one installed. And yeah, there are a lot of ways how to do that, but I don't want to go to the details. But I have a feeling as it might work, but never expect from SAP as we are going to support such kind of stuff, because if you are you will need to have an installed Business One client, and you will need to decide which one you are going to install. From Zdeněk, has the new integration framework already implemented SFTP authentication via the RSC key? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, as something had been changed for SFTP. More and more questions we are receiving for SFTP. I want to encourage you to try to look for another alternative ways, because now we have OneDrive. Now you have a lot of ways how you can store the data and how you can communicate with the file systems, and maybe the SFTP is a little bit outdated technology. Yeah, this is my just remarks. Just to try thinking to OneDrive maybe. From Lukáš, the new event header mechanism can be also consumed by the external application webhooks. I have no clue about this, how technically it can be consumed. What about the PowerPoint, Microsoft Power BI? Sorry, I don't know what's that. Finally, step to the future. Okay. I don't understand correctly that via Docker I can deploy the integration framework or any operating system. Basically, we have prepared the Docker image in the Linux, but of course you can deploy your own operating system, and you can deploy the installation there as well. If you are building your own image, then yes. SFTP can run on your own server. This is something what OneDrive never gave you. Okay. Thanks, Lucas, for clarification. Any additional questions? Seems not. Csaba, in this case, I think...
Yes, in that case, I think we can find some answers about the open questions maybe in the future, and we can answer directly to the person who asked it, I think. What are you doing, Christian?
Which is the open question? The open question is...
The TLS was?
The TLS.
And maybe the webhook.
But yeah, I would say I'm not pretty sure how that development is running for this specific event handler mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it had been fully released or not, or what's the stage, I have no clue. And regarding the TLS, yeah, okay. This is something.
Then we will release the recording, and for sure we are waiting for your additional questions in mail, and we try to answer for sure. And I will send out the PPTs with the recording details to every invited persons, hopefully today. So thank you for coming, and